السلام عليكم الجميع. أنا اسمي اسكندر ونعم أنا أعرف عربي يا ابن الكلب. My name is Alexander. I am a writer of novels, publisher of None, and today I'm just gonna talk about my trip to Morocco. I went to Morocco and Southern Europe about a year ago and did like a 3-month backpacking trip there. And I have all this footage that originally I wanted to turn into a vlog, but I kind of forgot to shoot a lot of stuff, so now I'm just gonna turn it into... I don't know what this is. We'll do it! We'll do it live!
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
So I'm not gonna get that deep into details, but basically what had happened is, COVID fucked me over. I missed out on both my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college, which sucked ass. But, light at the end of the tunnel, it was only $500 for a round trip from America to Spain and back. So, I was like, Europe trip. I don't have the money to consistently fly from America to Europe, especially now. We're gonna see about Worldcon 2024. However, while I don't have the money to travel consistently, I do have the time. So during that summer break, I just spent 3 months abroad, and it was great. And the first place I went to was Morocco.
What the hell? Oh my god!
Fuck. Today's the start of something big. I'm doing something kind of insane, for me. For someone else, this is probably a Tuesday, but I'm going to go overseas for 3 months. I'm going to see as many old rocks as I possibly can, and it's gonna be a good time. Now, I had never been to a Muslim country before, and neither had my mother, and she had just done a week in Barcelona, so our plan was basically, I would fly in, we'd meet up, we'd go to Morocco, do a week there, and then she'd go back home, and I'd continue on to Italy, which I got up to some stuff in Italy. So we flew in from Barcelona to Tangiers, which is on the northern tip of Morocco. This is when I quickly found out that I would be getting addicted to mint tea for the week. But from Tangier, the plan was to stay a night there and then get on a tour to go around the different cities of Morocco. And I was under the impression that this was going to be like a group tour, so I could, like, you know, talk to people and shit. Turns out it was a private tour, and I didn't know that until until I got to Tangier, which, I mean, cool, but also... Now, before I had come to Morocco, I had been studying Arabic on and off for about the last 2 years, and I just done like a year of intensive Arabic. So I thought I was pretty good. I thought I was pretty decent. And I already knew about like how different the Moroccan dialect was, but I'd listened to some of it and I'd learned some of the words, especially for numbers and stuff, so I could barter. So I was fairly confident, right? That was my impression at the time. But I wanted to practice a little more, so my plan for that night was to go out into the Medina and buy something and try to barter with someone. Because A, I'm way too shy to operate efficiently in a barter economy. And B, I still had yet to figure out how to barter in Moroccan Arabic. The last thing I wanted to do was for any shopkeep to assume that, oh, he's a Western tourist. I can rip him off for like 5 to 6 times the price, which is apparently like the average spike for tourists. But I got to the place and I started like looking through shops and everything, and this guy comes up to me and starts speaking to me in English, asking like, where am I from? This should have been my first red flag, but I went along with it because I was looking to buy something. right? I lied and said I was from China. I quickly found out that saying you're from China makes people underestimate you just as much as saying you're from America. And I told him that I was looking to buy something, and he said like, oh, come along to my shop. And I was in this road that was like full of shops, right? Just jam-packed. So I assumed, oh, it's one of these shops along the side here. I had struck up a decent conversation with this guy. I'd even talked to him in Arabic a little bit. So I was like, you know what? Fair enough. Let's see what he has. I don't have to buy anything, but you know, let's check out his wares. So I follow him, and he starts bringing me off the main road and sort of into this little like labyrinth, very dimly lit section of the Medina. And now the alarms are kind of going off in my head of like, okay, am I gonna get jumped? Luckily I didn't get jumped. That was maybe a bit preemptive of me. But I get to this, he brings me into this warehouse, and it's like this okay, not like a warehouse. A warehouse would be much freakier than where he brought me. He brought me to this like carpet emporium, right? And he started, he sat me down and he started introducing me to his friend and told him to like get me tea, and I was like, oh shit, they're gonna make me buy a carpet.
No. Wait.
Because once I have the tea, I'm basically locked in, right? They're gonna try and like guilt me into buying this carpet. I don't have room for a fucking carpet. I don't need a carpet. I don't have the money to ship a carpet back to the US. So my gigabrain master plan, right, was not to politely decline or anything like that. It was pretend to get a call from my mother, speak random gibberish in Chinese into the phone, and sound slightly worried, then pretend to hang up and say, oh, my mother has indigestion, I have to go find her medicine. And then I ran away.
You didn't have to cut me off.
Lies and deceit.
What a good start to the trip, guys! After escaping from the carpetman, I did actually walk into another store on that main street, where I ended up buying this like scarf thing that was originally priced at 120 dinars, which is about like $12, I think, and then I bartered it down to 80, which is about $8, which still seems like a lot for a piece of fabric, but whatever.
كلنا سوا 1 2 3 ولك روح يا قير روح يا قير روح يا قير روح يا خرا.
This piece actually ended up coming in very handy for my mother, because she was not clear on the whole like religious regulations for clothing in like mosques and shit.
Oh Allah the Almighty, Allahu Allah.
So I consider this a win, but I went back to the Riyadh, slept, and then the next day we were introduced to our tour guide and our driver, Ibrahim and Moha. Anyway, we get in the car, and apparently, I wasn't aware of this, but the North African coast is hella like, there's a lot of like dry grassland, which I was not expecting. The next big place we went to was the Blue City, Chefchaouen. You've probably seen it on Instagram a billion times. Anyways, this was probably my favorite Riyadh out of any of the places we stayed in. Riyadhs are guest houses, essentially, and they're hotels they're basically just hotels with like a traditional flair to them, which normally I'm a big fan of. But, you know, there were a couple in the bigger cities that were like... One of them, the door did not work. Like, yeah, it closed, and it was a door, as in it was a panel of wood, but you could see through everything, and you could hear everything. So, in terms of a door, functionally, it did not perform any of the functions that a door was meant. Also, there's no door to the bathroom. It was just a wall with like an opening in it, which was weird for many reasons. Also, no air conditioning. It was hot as balls. But that's Marrakesh. This Riyadh, chef's kiss. The layout was all like cozy, and it was all, I love stonework and like plaster type architecture a lot, so this was my thing. Also, they had Kingdom on the TV, subbed in Arabic, which I stole a picture of peacocks, and by that I mean I took a picture of some peacocks, and then someone informed me that I had to pay for them, and I was like, oh, sorry, and then I showed them and I deleted the picture, and then I brought it back from recently deleted.
Lies and deceit.
But we also ended up meeting this lovely girl named Tasnim, who was very good at English, who was a native of the town. Yeah, not much happened there. We had orange juice together.
Nah, he's the Wizard of Oz. Hold up, run that back. Hold up.
Also, Fortress! After a night in the Blue City, we headed toward Fez, which brought us through Volubilis.
وليلي.
No matter how I say it, it doesn't sound right. Anyways, it's this Roman ruin that's pretty cool and everything. It was either a major city or the capital city of Mauritania, which was the Roman province that was in modern day Morocco. And I was told this interesting story about how after the fall of the Romans and during, I think, the Almoravid dynasty? No, earlier than that. People basically looted the city for all its marble and then brought it a couple miles and then built the city of Meknes on basically the marble from that ruin. And then, fittingly, we went to Meknes, which is where I started realizing that all the restaurants we were being taken to were like weirdly all the same. In that they all served traditional Moroccan food at around the same price. But before this, I had gone into a Medina and gotten a Cobb sandwich for like $1, and that shit was. And I wanted more of those, but no, it was all tagine and couscous, which is good. My mother would beg to differ, but I think it's good. But you know, after a couple days of the same food, it kind of gets like. You got more than like 2 dishes. Also in Meknes, I found a qatta. That's a cat.
الدين دبيازة خالد كشميري خضر كرويته إسماعيل أحمد كنباوي عثمان عبد الجليل ششة Muhammad Sumbul.
From there we went on to Fez, which you know it for the hat. I don't know if the hat actually comes from there, but they were certainly selling them. We went to go see the Jewish Quarter, which I found out that there's this interesting difference between Islamic and Jewish architecture, where Islamic architecture for houses, basically all the buildings and openings in the buildings face inward, so that way the outside of the house is basically a giant wall, so everything's more like secluded, whereas Jewish architecture is more similar to normal Western architecture where things face out towards the street. Yeah, that was an interesting little tidbit. And then we went to go see this madrasa, which means school, because it's a university, and you know, I look at the size of the rooms that the students had to sleep in, and I'm like, you know, maybe I do like college nowadays. But then I think about how broken our university system is, and I think, you know, maybe it would have been worth it to sleep in this shithole. And then after that, we saw the most famous, I think, tourist attraction in Fez, and that's the dye pits, which, you know, all your leather goods, odds are it was probably dyed in those dye pits in Morocco, and they make those paints out of pigeon shit. So it was cool how they gave us like mint leaves to like hold up to our noses to not intake the pigeon shit. Also, The longer we went in this trip, the more tired my mother was getting, which was a little worrying. She didn't like the food there. One day, she literally she bought a watermelon off the side of the road. She cut it in half and ate one half for lunch, one half for dinner. And that was like all her food for the entire day. We also went to go see this place, I think this place that I've had in my head as just Moroccan Hollywood. Basically what it is a massive studio for like all the desert scenes you see in movies.
Welcome, my friend.
God damn, it's hot. I'm sweating like R. Kelly in Disneyland.
All that is basically shot at this location. There's some scenes from the movie Alexander. A lot of stuff that takes place in Egypt was shot there. I think it would make sense if Raiders of the Lost Ark was shot there, but I don't remember any like specific places for that. Anyways, they have a giant like mock pyramid. They have a little like set for a town for the Prince of Persia movie. They have a Buddhist temple for some reason. But yeah, basically all of it is super historically inaccurate, and it kind of pissed me off a little bit, but I didn't show it. The pyramid especially hurt me personally. They did have the throne that Alexander the Great sat on for the movie Alexander. I think it's the movie Alexander, or it was probably an older one. But I sat on it. I felt pretty cool. We also went to Ait Benadou, which, if you don't know, was a shooting location for Game of Thrones. So in the past 10 years, it has exploded in tourism. But yeah, it's a cool ass fortress. I based a setting from one of my books that I was writing at the time on it because I needed a desert fortress, and I mean, come on. Though they did a series Injustice, I think, in Game of Thrones, because I finally got around to like watching Game of Thrones, and I saw the point in time where they used that fortress. They didn't really film the inside of it, and which is understandable because in the show it's supposed to be like an intact city, but like the inside's pretty cool, even if it is a ruin. And as we were moving, we were getting closer and closer to the Sahara Desert, which was like the ultimate destination, I guess, for like the height of the trip. And to continue on this, we started going through the mountains, and we came across this place called Morocco's Little Switzerland. I think it's called Ifane, something like that. Ifane. It was a very bougie place. All the people there were like old and rich. It was a pretty cool spot. I discovered a candy called Camel Balls, and that was my main takeaway experience from that place. Also, monkey. And then on the day that we were going to head into the desert, we decided I guess Ibrahim decided that we'd stop for lunch with his family. This feels like a thing that they do for like all the Morocco tours, because I've seen other people talk about this sort of experience, and I don't want to cast doubt that these people aren't. I believe that I did go have lunch with Ibrahim's family, but I also think that like they're probably getting paid for this, which is fine, because I mean, Ibrahim's whole thing and a lot of the tour guides is they're part of Bedouin families, and then the young men go and they work in the city and then send money back home to their family. But if they're a tour guide, you know, you go to the countryside, so why not get your family in on it? The lunch was good. It was couscous. It was okay, not really talking, because we had to use Moha and Ibrahim as translators to like speak to Ibrahim's family members, and he has 2 cousins who were around my age, and I was like, you know, I haven't used my Arabic that much on the tour, since I've mostly been talking with Ibrahim and Moha, who are decent with English. And Ibrahim goes to use the bathroom, right? And Moha's like sleeping or something. And my mom's like, hey, can you ask if I can get their picture? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And I try to ask them if I can get their picture in Arabic. I asked, and then they started laughing at me. I don't know, that might have awakened something in me, but they start laughing at me, and I'm like, okay, clearly, because I studied modern standard Arabic, so I'm like, clearly, I can't be using modern standard Arabic, but the word for picture can't be that different from the modern standard Arabic. So I just start saying surah, surah over and over again, and they keep laughing at me. I'm like, are they understanding me, or do I sound like a fucking clown to them? I probably sound like a clown regardless, but eventually they're like, oh yeah, we knew what you were saying, but we just thought it was hilarious. But they let my mother take their picture.
Nah, he's the Wizard of Oz. Hold up, run that back. Hold up.
I forgot about this fact that the Bedouin... Did I call them Bedouins before? Oh my, Berbers. Amazigh, not Bedouin. Bedouins are peninsular. I forgot that Amazigh were nomads. And though Ibrahim's family had recently stopped being nomads, I think, because their house was still, like, kind of under construction. But... I forgot that if you're a nomad, you probably don't go to like a standardized school. And the place where you learn modern standard Arabic is in standardized schools. So, I figured, you know what, they probably don't know how to speak modern standard Arabic, which is probably why they were laughing at me. Anyway, after being humiliated by two attractive Moroccan women, which honestly, not the worst experience, we finally made it to the desert, which, I've never been to like a proper desert before. I've been to like scrublands and stuff, and scrublands are kind of whatever. It's just dry, a lot of tumbleweeds and tufts and shit everywhere. Kind of what you imagine for the Mojave Desert, but this was a proper like dune sea. Everything, there's nothing but sand for miles and miles and miles. And it was surreal. Like, everything was quiet. Everything except for the wind. Because there's nothing to block the wind, so there's constant loud wind everywhere. And you have this sort of, there's this sort of like tranquility about it if you're not dying of thirst. Because there's just nothing alive. Except maybe some unnoticeable bugs. Right before we headed out to the desert, I bought myself a little headscarf because...
Sand isn't really sand, but tasty little rocks that you can breathe and eat. Yummy wummy in my little tummy, they taste so good.
Also, I wore shorts for the camel ride, which, in hindsight, not the wisest decision in the world. And we get to these tents that we're supposed to be staying in for the night, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to tough this shit out. Let's do it the way the Berbers do it. And turns out the tents have running water? We went out to eat, but my mother was so tired at this point that she just didn't eat dinner. She's fine, by the way. She just suffered a lot during this trip. They had a really nice tagine there. And then I sat around a fire and just kind of listened to the guys who were doing the tour just fucking play the hell out of some drums. Also, there was a dog there.
Man, right there. What the dog doing?
Also, the desert at night. The camera doesn't capture it, but holy shit, it is incredible. It's completely alien to the shit we have in Ohio here, which is just temperate whatever. But eventually we ended in Marrakesh, and Marrakesh is the place where in the Riyadh we stayed, the door did not work. Like, it did not serve any purpose of door. So I was a little peeved by that, but we did a small tour of Marrakesh during the day. But we were both so tired by that point that, like, because we'd been just go for the past week, and we were so tired that we decided to just get like one of those bougie hotels on the like outskirts of the city that were newer, and just sleep there for the night before going to going back to Spain before we went our separate ways. I hope you enjoyed this sort of like kind of story time, kind of vlog, kind of mishmash, whatever fuck about my time in Morocco. If you did enjoy it, please feel free to hit the buttons, and yeah, that's I'll be back with more of the stuff I usually do, more world building, writing style, history stuff, but I have 4 other countries that I went to cover, so I'll be doing more of this stuff as well. Yeah, bye!